We have several calls from people just like you moving to the Richmond area and wanting to work with our team. If this is you, we would love to be the real estate team that you choose. Our contact info is right down in the description. So it's important to really understand any area that you're looking at about what kind of cost of living you can expect to appreciate if you move to the area. Because let's face it, most people don't just decide to move to another area because they love everything and anything about the place they're living. 9 times out of 10, if it's not job specific that they have to be somewhere, it's a lifestyle choice. It's wanting to make sure that the money that you are making is maybe going to go a little bit further. So that's gonna be something I think that you'll enjoy about the Richmond, Virginia areas. You don't have to compromise on all the things that you want and need from a quality and affluent area, but still get something for better bang for your buck. I'd say on average, and of course these are always changing, and if whatever statistic you look at, I find them always very confusing. So let's just look at things on average in comparison to national averages for other major cities in the United States. I'd say that the Richmond area is about 10% lower. So a very good cost of living, and but still not compromising on all the things and all the advantages you would expect in an affluent area. So I think it's really important to get a true basis of when you talk about affordability in an area, what are you talking about? So let's say a family of 4, you need to bring in about, let's say $6,900 a month, $83,400 a year in order to live a comfortable, modest lifestyle in the Richmond, Virginia area. So for many of you people that are coming from very expensive metropolitan areas, I think that that will be quite a relief to you. So I'd say on average, compared to a lot of major areas across the United States, we run about 10% lower on affordability, but don't be so fast to think that this is a cheap place and you don't get nice things. You get great things. Let's talk a little bit about the housing prices. On average, we're averaging about $290,000 for the Richmond, Virginia area. Now you will definitely notice that certain areas are going to be more expensive. Think about whenever they're averaging any kind of houses, they're taking everything into account. They're actually taking, small condos, starter homes, flips, things that need to be completely knocked down, all the way up into the very exclusive several $million-dollar properties. So I always take that into relation. For many people that I'm speaking to on a regular basis that are calling us, I would say to anticipate more that the cost of living for housing is probably going to be more in the high $300,000 to $450,000 range, $450,000 range to get really the kind of house that you're looking for. As we're talking about affordability in housing, I think it's really important to go, how is it comparing to pre-pandemic years? The great thing is that the Richmond, Virginia area for housing has seen really great appreciation, but not the crazy inflated prices you might be seeing in some other great areas. For instance, many people are migrating from other spots that have had amazing housing booms in there, but as quickly and as highly as they have gone up, you're seeing that they are coming down very quickly. That's the great thing about Richmond, and something that is always appreciated. It's definitely a more conservative rise on appreciation, and then if we do have any kind of corrections of markets, that it's going to be more conservative in the fall rather than being rapid decreases or increases. For instance, many of the big major magazines have been running about some of the most affordable and best places to invest your dollar for real estate is the Richmond, Virginia area. And I know that they're really looking at all the affordability and cost of livings for the area, and with the moderation of how quickly or how slowly things are appreciating or coming down as we see things start to shift. Hey guys, this is Erin, and if this is your first time to our channel and you want to learn everything there is to know about living in Richmond, Virginia, hit that like button, click subscribe, and click that little bell so you're notified every time we release a new video. So to live comfortably in the Richmond, Virginia area as a family of 4, we talked about that you needed to bring in maybe about $83,900 per year to live a very moderate lifestyle. That being said, for the Richmond, Virginia area, the average salary is actually at about $64,000. So there are plenty of people that aren't living particularly elaborate lifestyles, but that's really important to see that because of the housing prices and the affordability, and also what people are averaging on salary, that if you are looking for a spot where you're just like, hey, I want a city that I have all the things, that I have the culture, that I have access for my family to great education, that I have lots of employment opportunities, and that I'm going to make a decent salary and not be going, hey, in order to get this great affordable lifestyle, I've got to cut my salary into like a fourth of things. Richmond is a great spot to look at. Real estate taxes, it's going to vary between being in the city or being in one of the surrounding counties, but in essence, if you were looking at, say, a house that was about $290,000, let's go back to the average that they were talking about, your tax bill is probably going to be about $34.80 a year. So very affordable on the real estate taxes. Nice thing about Richmond is, I do know many people coming from other areas, they want to know if there's, are there school taxes, are there township taxes, are there all these different taxes? We're pretty simple here in the Richmond, Virginia area. It's like you have your real estate taxes. If you have a mortgage, that's going to be part of your escrow, right? You do have your personal property taxes. That is important to know for cost of living people coming from certain states where you don't have that. You are going to be paying personal property taxes on your cars, on your boats, on any of your RVs or trailer sort thing. Compared to national averages, they are very fair. I'd say if you have two fairly nice cars in your household, be expecting that your personal property taxes are probably going to be, let's say, about $1,900 a year. So it gives you kind of an idea right there. So let's look specifically at certain areas where most people are going to be focusing upon for budgeting purposes when they're truly trying to gauge the cost of living in a particular area. For Richmond, if you are comparing it to national averages, our energy costs are actually a good amount down, almost 30% less than the national average. That's probably having to do a lot with, we do have 4 very distinctive seasons, though we do have pretty hot summers. They are not astronomically hot in comparison to other places in the south and definitely other places out west. Same with our winters. We have, in essence, a fairly mild winter. Though we might have a couple months where things are running below 40 degrees, most of our winter temperatures, I would say, be the 40s and 50s is about standard. So it does keep your energy costs down. Great access to all sorts of different fuels, your electricity costs and your natural gas costs are pretty affordable, and it shows there in averages. Food, same thing. We're running at about 30% below the national averages, and that certainly isn't because we have a lack of great local farm to table or even big chain grocery stores out there. So it's good to know that when you are looking to budget and what to expect, we really are pretty affordable compared to many major cities. Interestingly enough, where we were seeing such a difference in the energy and the food costs, our healthcare, though, is only about 10% less than the national average. And I'm going to kind of have to agree with that. I wouldn't say that if you needed medical help here in the Richmond area and you were instead considering some different options up in the North Virginia area, I wouldn't say that you're seeing a big difference in things, which is interesting for a smaller city. You would think it would be a little bit more affordable. We are actually right at about 15% above the national average for housing, which is very interesting to me. I'm imagining they're probably comparing it to some of the larger cities. Let's say, and we'll get into that a little bit more about some of our northern neighbors in the Virginia area where are definitely considerably more affordable for housing. And I know they're taking into account for rent, for many other statistics there as well, but still can find a very affordable home and your money goes far. For transportation costs, we are running about 17% below the national average. That is kind of a nice thing about how things are set up in our area. And here's something to expect whether you're living in the suburbs around Richmond or if you're living in the city. We do have several toll roads that run through. the city and several different aspects to give you kind of an idea on averages. You know, we do have what's called the Easy Pass, which does run through several different states. The East Coast, I know Florida enjoys that. I know Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York, and definitely further parts up in Northern Virginia area as well. By comparison though, our tolls are considerably less. And actually, I think most of our toll roads have actually been paid for. They're just collecting it so that they can keep up the upkeep. And that is something I will say about transportation and roadways in the Richmond, Virginia area. Though we do have our potholes, the roads are very nicely maintained. I don't feel like I'm blowing out a tire every 5 seconds, even during our winters when we're getting a little bit more snow than we would normally do so. Speaking from someone that went electric, fully electric with driving back in 2017, I will tell you this, and I'd say that this is more Virginia as a whole. They recognize that you're not going to be pumping gas on a regular basis. So, of course, any of the taxes that you're paying on your registration are going to be a little bit higher than you would for a standard gas-powered vehicle. And they do even add in there a little bit of a road tax sort of thing, which is very interesting because being an electric vehicle, I'm on the toll roads on a regular basis, running through those, so I am paying for the roads, but either here nor there, I know that I'm leaving everything better. I feel good about it, and daggone with how the gas prices have been, I'm glad I don't have to be there. Speaking of gas prices, where things are standing average, and I know we've had things quite high, in comparison when I'm traveling around to other places in Virginia, Richmond as a whole, I would say very average. Many of the more touristy spots, the costs of such as Williamsburg or even Virginia Beach, they're definitely always traditionally higher than they are in Richmond in comparison to things. So nice to know where your money can go. If you have any questions or we've missed some information that you really want to know, just drop a comment below and we'll either answer you or who knows, we might just make a whole video just for you.